Welcome to World Shakers. My name is Tim Storey. This is a program that highlights people that are making an impact in this world in a beautiful way. And with me today, we have Rene Banglesdorf. Hi, Rene.
Hey, Tim. How are you today?
Coming to me live from where?
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. And why should people visit Austin, Texas?
Nobody should visit Austin, Texas, and they especially should not move here because we don't want them creating more traffic. However, there's amazing food, there's fantastic music, and the people are unbelievably kind and friendly.
People say that, right? And you have some kind of saying about being weird.
Yes, it goes, keep Austin weird.
Yes. And when I go to Austin, I think it's around like 6th or 7th Street. It's kind of got a little way about it there.
6th Street is definitely hopping, although there are a couple of other areas that are happening now too. There's an area called Rene Street. Okay. And then 4th Street is also pretty busy for a out after dark scene.
Yes. Okay. So Austin, Texas, and good to have you with us, Rene. So it's pretty impressive, as we were studying you yesterday, CEO of Charlie Bravo Aviation, author of 3 books, speaker, podcast host of a title I love, Define the Status Quo. Okay? All right, help me out with this idea of define the status quo. What does that mean to us?
Well, to me personally, it means that I get outside of my comfort zone and I do something that's bigger than myself. And in my particular case, selling private jets is outside of the status quo for a woman who dropped out of college to become a stay-at-home mom. That's something I never would have dreamed for myself. But I'm also in a very male-dominated industry. Only 1% of people who sell private planes are women. And so it's very unusual, and even fewer of us run our own company. So I defy the status quo every day because I'm not pale, stale, and male in the job role that I'm in.
Yes. Okay. I like that. Coming out of high school, what did you do right out of high school? Did you go to college? Did you go travel Europe? Did you get married? What did you do right out of high school?
I went from high school into journalism school at Ohio University. So I was training to become a print journalist.
Okay. And you stayed there for a while?
3 years.
Okay. Then what happens?
Got pregnant, got married, moved to Washington, D.C., and was a stay-at-home mom for the better part of 12 years. I did a little bit of freelancing here and there. I did work for a company in San Francisco and did some marketing. I worked for a magazine about telecommunications. So I worked a little bit, but was mostly a stay-at-home mom until we started Charlie Bravo.
Okay, well, the journey is important to the viewer today, because I think so many people can look at you and your essence and just your whole style and say, wow, she probably went from A to Z, but obviously there were zigzags. There were times where maybe you questioned, is your plan going to come to fruition? You know, we all go through that. So when you were a stay-at-home mom for, you said 12 years? Okay.
Yes.
What were some of the thoughts that were going through your mind about your personal goals and dreams? And can I tell you why I ask you that?
Of course.
Okay, because in the field that I'm in as a comeback coach, a lot of celebrities I deal with, entertainers, people that do very well in life, they find themselves in an area where they are sometimes feeling stuck. And U2 has this interesting song called, that you may know, You Got Stuck in a Moment, but you just couldn't get out of it. Was there ever a time, let's say maybe while you're in the DC area, but maybe not, that you felt stuck and you wondered how you were going to get unstuck?
Tim, I think you're reading my mail. I absolutely have been stuck in for years at a time. I felt like I was going to pull my hair out because I couldn't imagine that God put me on this planet to be a PTA mom. nothing against PTA moms, but once your kids are graduated, it's kind of weird to be a PTA mom. And yet that's what I was building and that's what I was fostering. So I was definitely stuck in those years and feeling like, wow, I have no purpose outside of
Yes.
raising kids. And then what happens when they're hopefully adults out on their own, starting their own families? And it was definitely there.
No, so this is super important. We're talking to Rene Banglesdorf, and one of the things that I'm loving about your story right now is that you're being so open with us about that stuck feeling is not good because you feel stuck, but yet we have the responsibility of, at that time, you being a wife, you taking care of your children. And how many children do you have?
I have 2 children.
Okay. All right. So during that time, would you find yourself in a place of frustration, or were you in a place of somehow this too will pass, I'm going to be okay? What was going through your mind?
Tim, I honestly, if I really think about it, I think I was in a place of resignation because I had a big dream and I did some things that are not conducive to having big dreams. I got pregnant and got married,
Okay.
and I felt like I had given up my dream. And so I felt like, well, I messed up, so maybe I don't deserve that big dream. So resignation would be my answer to that.
When you say resignation, break that word down for me a little bit.
I think I'm really resigned to or have accepted that my life might be mediocre.
Wow. You just did something. Because one of the big things that I teach on is living in the land of okay. And there's a very, very famous actor that you know of. He's one of the 3 best actors in the world today, and probably the highest paid. He said to me when I was life coaching him, he said, Tim, don't hype me and tell me my life's going to be great. Just help me to be okay. Because he had been going through a lot during that time. And I said, well, that's not going to work for a guy like me, because I don't see that you're going to stay in the land of okay for too long, because you have too many skills, you have too many tools, and if we can change your attitude, you will not remain in the land of okay. So it sounds to me for a while that you really almost resigned yourself to live in the land of okay.
I really did. And then some things began to change for me. My walk with the Lord became very personal to me. And I really took to heart advice that I've gotten from other people in a business setting and from my faith, in that when you're faithful in the little things, more things get added to you. And so I started doing the little things like helping with homework and serving in the PTA as if I was doing those. Yeah. And they were the most important thing in my life. And that's really what began to move me out of the land of okay.
Okay, so you're right up my alley, because that's my background too, is spirituality. So it's very interesting that, in the quote unquote natural world, it's easy to be intimidated and stay there. But if you can just hold on to one verse, let me just quote you one verse. Forget about the former things, Isaiah 43:18, and do not dwell on your past. For behold, which the word behold means look up and pay attention, God is doing a new thing. And the word new there means something that has never occurred before. So when you are stuck in that land of okay, in the natural, you're trying to figure out, how am I going to ever get out of this? Maybe it's never going to happen. But you can meditate on one verse that says, forget about the former things, which means to neglect on purpose. Do not dwell, do not meditate, do not mutter on the past. For behold, look up and pay attention. God is doing a fresh, never been done before thing in your life. So I'm very proud of you because somehow you were able to do Isaiah 43:18, and behold, and God did a never been done thing before in your life.
That's exactly what happened, Tim. But you know, one thing that I want to point out in that is you were emphasizing parts of that verse. There are responsibilities for us in that verse. The responsibilities don't all fall on God, just like the responsibilities for our success don't ever all fall on other people. We have to take part in those things too. We have to stand up and say, okay, I'm ready to do something different today.
Okay, give me some of those answers. So let's go back and forth with this because this is so good. So number one, I think one has to be willing. So the word willing means consenting. Because I feel like even with our children sometimes that people are raising children and they set them up for success, but the child is not willing to be disciplined, right? Willing to break bad habits. And so they stay stuck in the place they were. So what is another thing that somebody has to do to take responsibility? I said willing. What would you say?
I think when you said behold, that's important. You have to look up. You can't be mired in your own circumstances looking down at where your feet are right now. You've got to set your eyes on the horizon or your eyes on God and move toward that point.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. How much better do you feel from where you were when you were feeling stuck? And not saying that you didn't love your husband, not saying that you didn't love your kids, but how much better do you feel just about life in general for yourself?
You know, I think the biggest thing that's happened for me in all of this, Tim, is that I have confidence in who I am and who I'm supposed to be. And I've gotten a whole lot less judgmental of myself for the places that I sometimes find myself that aren't great. I quit dwelling on those and I'm like, okay, well, let's move on to something else. So I think the biggest change in me, and a lot of people that have known me for a long time will tell you this, is my increase in confidence has given me a boldness and exuberance for life that I didn't have before.
Okay, before I ask you two big questions, tell us how we get a hold of you and how we reach out to you, and then maybe a service that you have that can help us out.
Great. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. My handle's the same on all of them. It's Rene Banglesdorf. And then I have a website, renebanglesdorf.com. And one thing that I'm doing right now is that I'm in a 100-day stretch of doing prayer at 7 a.m. on Facebook every single morning. So if people want to join that, they're more than welcome. They'll be partway in, but as many days as you can join me and others for scripture-based prayer in the morning on Facebook at 7 a.m. Central Time, I would love to have you join us.
I love this. I mean, there's many great churches I know in Tennessee. I mean, in Austin. Is there one that you're going to? Is there a name?
Yeah, my husband and I have been members of Celebration Church with Joe and Lori Champion for about 16 years now.
I mean, the champions are champions.
They are.
I know they're good friends with Joel Osteen, and people love the champions. So, wow, you're going to a phenomenal church. And I've known Rob Koch forever. I've known Rob Koch, who also has a church out that way, for probably like 25 years. So there's quite a few large churches and small churches that are doing very well. But I love this prayer idea. Again, so the best way for them to log in is just to go to?
They can come to my website at renebanglesdorf.com and connect to all my social media there, or at Rene Banglesdorf on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook.
Okay, two more quick questions if you don't mind. If I was to look at your exterior and you were to walk into a restaurant in Beverly Hills, I would go put together. Put together, seems great, is great. How is your exterior different than your interior, or are they pretty much the same? I bet you've never been asked that question.
I have not been, but I actually talked to someone about something very similar to this earlier. So I feel like I'm somewhat prepared. On the exterior, I sometimes appear standoffish because on my interior, I'm shy and introverted. So I may look polished, and some people will say intimidating on the outside, but it's really because it takes a lot of me to push myself out of that shell and be friendly and approachable to others. So that would be my dichotomy there, I guess.
Wow. And so what are you finding the best way is to show that you're relatable without losing yourself? Like, I mean, what some would do is say, read How to Win Friends and Influence People 3 times. That'll change you. But how are you able to be your original self, because God made you a certain way, and yet be relatable to most people?
I think the most important thing that I've done, and the thing that anybody can do and everyone should do, is surround yourself with people that you want to be more like. So I surround myself with people who are bold and who are strong and who are outgoing, and they help me improve in those areas. And I think every single one of us can do that.
Okay. Last question. Deep breath. Okay. This is because you're so smart. I'm going to ask you this. This rush for fame that's out there, it's nothing new. It was in the 30s. It was in the 40s. It was in the 50s. When Hollywood was just on fire. People wanted to be famous actors, actresses, singers. But I've never seen the rush for fame like I see it today, where someone could be a famous YouTuber just for doing silly things. People want to be famous on Instagram, Facebook, social media, world influencer. They call themselves influencers when I didn't say they were. They just call themselves influencers.
How dare they?
How dare they? What do you think about this rush for fame, and why don't you rush for fame?
You know, Tim, this is a really difficult question. This one's harder than the one you asked before. And here's why. As a Christian, it is very important to me not to make a name for myself, but to make a name for the Lord. I mean, there's all sorts of scriptures that say that we're supposed to do that, right? And so I've really struggled with this, you know, in promoting my business, which I have an obligation to do for my employees and their families, and in providing for my own family. I have to build a platform, but where in that platform do I leave room for God to move? Yes. And for God to outshine me is a struggle that has been probably a 5-year struggle for me, which is why I'm doing the online prayer. It's why in the latest book that I published, Stand Up, I talk about how important my faith is, because between you and me, my fame and my platform are nothing without the God that made it possible for me.
Okay. I love your answer, just so you know. And to me, as a pastor, being in the ministry 38 years, life coaching at least 3 people a day, I will tell you, I think it's more about motives. I think that because of your Christian background and mine, the Bible says, Mark 10:45, Jesus came not to be served, but to serve and give himself a ransom for many. Okay, just think about that. Then Jesus goes on to say to the Father, Father, the same glory, Greek word doxa, that you give me, I want to give to them. Why? Because he knew that if we did not sense God's glory, we would chase the glory. So I love your answer, because for me and you, I ain't chasing nothing. Did you just hear what I said?
I heard what you said, Tim. I'm going to pray for you to be chasing God.
I chase God. You don't know I'm a man of God?
You can chase your wife too. That's acceptable.
No, no, no. I'm into God. I'm a God-made man. And the doors that have opened in my life are because of, I told somebody that you would know, I said, I don't believe in chasing dreams. I believe in cooperating with heaven said. And so when you become a person that has faith in God, you just are submitted to what he's doing. And therefore, he changes your motives. He changes your want tos.
I love that. That's great add on to what I answered.
Yes, but I liked your answer. I'm
They're,
just,
they're kind of one and the same there. I think it was just some different wording.
yeah, I'm just basically saying, go get them. All right, Miss Rene, one more time, how we can get a hold of you.
At Rene Banglesdorf on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And then renebanglesdorf.com is my website. You can contact me all sorts of different ways through that.
Okay, and I really mean this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tim.
People will watch this, and a lot of people are going to get very excited by you. God bless you.
Thank you. You too.